Well, good evening, everyone. I'm here today with the lovely Miss Hamilton. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. If you please, everyone, who you are and what you like to do.
I am LaRonda Hamilton, and I am a criminal justice professor at Tyler Junior College.
Okay. What was your aspiration when you first got out of high school?
When I first got out of high school, actually, I graduated in May of '88, and I went into the military in September of '88. So my aspirations were to go to college and to leave my hometown. So the Army was my outlet.
Was your hometown okay?
Yeah, my hometown is perfect. It's Crockett, Texas, and small, but not many opportunities. And I knew I eventually wanted to get into the teaching field. And there, I did not want to teach in Crockett. I grew up. It's an awesome place. My family still lives there, but I knew that wasn't where I wanted to live the rest of my life.
I can understand that. Tell me about your military journey.
Okay, my military journey. Like I said, I went into the military September of '88. Went to basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Actually, it was my first time ever being on an airplane.
How was that?
It was. I wasn't as afraid as I thought I was going to be. It's my first time leaving Texas, leaving my hometown and going into an unfamiliar place. But I got to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. It's different because I was only child. And I ended up having to share a room with 70 plus females and, all these different attitudes and things such as that. But basic training definitely taught me character, leadership skills. And from there, I went on to Berlin, Germany.
You went to Germany?
I went to Germany.
How was that?
Berlin, Germany, I loved it because I had the opportunity to travel to Paris, to Spain, to Holland, to Italy. Places that I probably would not have gone had I not enlisted in the military. But also being in Berlin, Germany, I was the armorer, which means that I repaired and kept maintenance on the weapons and issued and inventory. And it's when Desert Storm started that we got the knock on the door that we're going to war. And that was the first time I actually thought, oh my God, what am I doing? And because I was going to be the first one to go because of having to issue the weapons and ammunition. But later that day, we were downgraded, meaning that we didn't have the type of vehicles that they were wanting. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the tanks. We had Hummers. So okay. They downgraded us, and they only took cooks and chaplain assistants. So the rest of us did not have to go.
So I guess it was more like a blessing in disguise.
It was a blessing in disguise, absolutely. And from Germany, I went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Fort Campbell, Kentucky, really didn't like that as much. Still had the job as armorer. And we had a joint arms room, meaning that other units their weapons were stored in our arms room. So no matter what time of the day or night, they wanted to go into the arms room, I had to get up and go open. I didn't like that. So I decided that I was going to get out of the military. And the couple days, maybe a couple weeks before ETS, which is in term of service, I decided to enlist in the National Guards. And
how would that transition? Why did you choose National Guard?
I chose National Guard because it was not only just a weekend warrior like reserves, but it was stateside. So I was actually stationed at a unit there in Austin, but I was living in Crockett and having to travel back and forth from Austin. They didn't want to give me pay for my lodging, for my travel expense or anything such as that.
You had to pay for it?
I had to pay for it myself.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's the fine print. So by now I got my acceptance letter to Lamar University, and I needed to transfer from Austin to Beaumont. Okay. And in the National Guards in Beaumont, they didn't accept females because it was infantry. So I had to get out of the National Guards and enlist in the reserves. So I did that. Worked at Walmart for a while until I started working in the prison.
I got one question. Was Lamar University your first choice of university?
Yes.
That's the only one you wanted to go to?
That's the only one that I applied for.
Oh, I'm happy you managed to get in.
Yes.
And whenever you were... So what were you thinking when you were at Walmart? What was your main priority?
Well, I worked in Walmart when I was in high school.
Wait a minute, Ms. Hamilton. You said... Okay, wait a minute. So you were still in high school when you went to the military?
I graduated from high school in May 88.
Okay.
And I went into the military in September 88. But prior to going into the military, I worked at Walmart.
Okay.
And after getting out after the first 4 years and joining the reserves, when I got out, I went back to Crockett for 6 months, and I worked at Walmart, went back there.
Okay.
And then when I got my acceptance letter, I transferred from Crockett Walmart to Beaumont Walmart.
Okay.
So I was in the reserves and working at Walmart, and then I applied for the prison. So
Why the prison?
because I knew I wanted to study criminal justice, although my major changed from fashion merchandising to social work to criminal justice.
Ms. Hamilton, why didn't you pursue fashion? I feel like
You
you dress very well every
Well,
time I see you.
thank you. Fashion, was at that time was on the top of my list, but I guess being in the military world and I figured that I can do fashion as well as social work.
Right.
And in social work, I wanted to help people, but somehow I really don't remember how I changed my major from social work to criminal justice, and I knew that working in the prison would build my resume,
Mm-hmm.
as well as help me in what I thought I wanted to be was either parole or probation, which was the plans that I had for me. Get my degree in criminal justice and start working in parole and probation. But I took the longer route.
Why'd you choose the longer route?
Well, sometimes life happens.
I
And
understand.
sometimes our plans are not God's plans. So I
can understand that. I think it seemed like it just things take longer, but I mean, so whenever you were going through the transitions and everything, how were you able to just keep yourself like calm and collective the entire time? I feel like there's a lot of transferring, moving here to here to here. You still manage to keep the game plan going.
still managed to keep it going. And it's always been taking that leap of faith. I knew that I never wanted to be stagnant. I knew I never wanted to be stuck in a particular place. And I didn't have my daughter at that time, so moving and transitioning wasn't hard on me.
Right.
So,
How do you people take that leap? I talked to a couple people. Some people are just scared. They're like teeter-tottering like at the very edge, but they never jump over.
never jump over, and you never get anywhere if you're not willing to take that leap. You find yourself in the same place for years and years and years, so you have to do it scared. My motto is you face your fear head on. Do it afraid.
I think that's the problem. I think people want to feel like they're completely ready to make the transition and then jump. But I feel like you kind of gotta just do it scared, nervous, or however you're feeling.
Yeah. Because sometimes you may never be ready. You may never feel like you're ready, but you will never know until you do it. So
Very motivational.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Whenever you were in the prison, did you learn anything with it? How you thought it was gonna be?
Well, I really didn't think. I didn't know how it would be. I applied. I got the call. I went to the Corrections Academy, Gatesville, Texas, the women's prison, Gatesville prison. There, I guess the military was still very much in me. Again, I was facing my fear head on, but actually I didn't have fear, which is not always good to not have fear, because you're supposed to have a little fear, and you're supposed to always play that what if game in your head. And I was just going through the motions. Once I finished the academy and started working at the Mark W. Stiles unit located in Beaumont, Texas, maximum security male prison, really didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't afraid. When I first walked in, when we toured the prison, getting ready for our on-the-job training, inmates were standing, and I can hear them. I was like, man, you can tell she's military. Look at her comeback boots. Look how she's walking. It tells she's military. And it's how you go in and how you carry yourself, and you earn respect.
I can see that.
Yeah.
When you were in there, was you able to? So was it a big adjustment from the military into the prison, or was it still kind of uniform?
It was still uniform. Basically, law enforcement is quasi-military. I mean, it's military structure. From the uniforms. From carrying weapons, depending on what position. Rank structure. So it was pretty much a familiar territory to me because of all the time that I've spent in the military. So, and then I was still in the reserves while working in the prison.
So you had to go back and forth.
Yes. Now I'm in Beaumont. So the reserve unit was in Beaumont. So, we did 2 weeks, a weekend out of a month, 2 weeks out of a year in the reserves. So I was doing both.
And have you had your daughter then?
I had my daughter, I think I had been working in prison 4 years before I had her.
Okay.
So her first move was when, after working in the prison system for 10 years, I went back into the military active duty. And so that was her first move.
First transition. What caused you to go back to the military after the prison?
Well, to be honest, I applied for AGR, which is Active Guard Reservist. You station at a reserve unit, but you're active duty. I filled out the application and actually had forgotten. And time passed. And on this particular day, maybe it was the right day, maybe it was the wrong day. I had a bad day at work, use the force, and, and there were different things that was leading up to my feeling like my time was up working in the prison. I got home and I received a phone call asking me if I still wanted an AGR position, because they had a position in Texas. Because I told him, once I got back to Texas, I wanted to remain in Texas. So there was a position that was available in Hooks. And that's what I said, Hooks.
I thought you just made that up.
No.
I thought you just made that up.
Never heard of Hooks, Texas, but I accepted the position right there on the phone. And 10 days later, I was heading to Fort McCoy to transition back from civilian to soldier. And then 10 days after that, I traveled to Texarkana, which is right next to Hooks. There was nothing but Red River Army Depot, which is where I was working, but I didn't want to live in Hooks.
I can understand that.
So I found a house in Texarkana, a school that was literally around the corner for my daughter, and it just all worked out. So that was another leap of faith, is making that transition, because now I have a daughter and a dog. So
I know you had a dog.
And we had a dog.
I'm wondering how you're able to take all these leap of faith, because some people take that one leap of faith and just stick to it regardless of what it is.
Well, I've always been a go-getter and not content in where I am. But being content in where you are sometimes stop you from wanting to move up the ladder or wanting to experience different things. And I knew that I never wanted to be content, and I never wanted to be stagnant. I always saw more for myself.
I fully believe it. When you're going through all this, how were you able to transition to teaching?
Well, teaching has been a lifelong dream of mine. I actually been teaching since I was 6 years old, meaning that I was teaching the kids in the neighborhood, and would get mad when they wouldn't do what I would tell them to do. So I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And when I was stationed in Germany, my first sergeant was like, "Oh, you're not going to be a teacher. Your patience too short." But I knew that is what I wanted to do, and my ultimate goal was to become a professor. So when I retired from the military, I started working as a child maltreatment investigator for the state of Arkansas.
What is that?
And that is CPS. People know
Okay.
it to be CPS.
Mm.
I was an investigator, which means that once I got a report, I would go out and investigate it, and I would determine if it was substantiated or unsubstantiated. Which meaning I would remove children from harmful environments. If need be. And I did that for 5 years. And one day I received a phone call telling me that they had a criminal justice instructor position available at Texarkana, Arkansas Career and Technological Center, which is early college dual credit at high school. And I just finished Leadership Texarkana, and I was in class with the school superintendent. So she was familiar with me, so I called her and I was like, hey, I hear you have a position. I'm thoroughly qualified. I have the education. I have the credentials.
Right.
And so they set up an interview. So I was hired to be Ms. Hamilton, the criminal justice instructor. And I quickly saw that my experiences working as a child maltreatment investigator helped me with being a criminal justice instructor, because now I understand the family dynamics and of kids that may have been in poverty, how they act. So they helped me to understand the students that I had in my classroom, and I quickly developed a bond with them and vice versa. Actually, to the point when I decided I was going to relocate here to Tyler, I had students and parents actually begging me to stay until I graduated. So it was a really hard decision to move here to Tyler. In a lot of ways, it was a hard decision.
Well, you showed your drill chart and you could do it.
Yeah.
You managed to get the patience and everything, especially when you were teaching me. You surely had.
Yeah, I definitely had to have patience teaching you.
Stop it. My question is, how are you after all this stuff? So are you still trying to move forward, or are you happy where you are?
Well, again, about being content in one place. I don't think I would ever be content in one place. I enjoy being a criminal justice professor. I may move on to a university.
Hopefully so. I know you will. I feel like you got the determination to do it.
Yeah. I think I still have some youth in me, where I don't have to be stagnant and retire to the rocking chair just yet.
Not the rocking chair. So you got me feeling like I'm about to be there myself. Okay. And what are you? When you're teaching, when you're not teaching, what are you? Cause I know you receive a lot of rewards. I can see looking at your wall, you have a lot of accolades. So what's one reward that you're most proud of that you achieved?
Well, one thing is, after being here at Tyler Junior College for only 4 years, I was nominated and received the Endowed Teaching Excellence Award. So that was a great enough award to know that I'm making a difference, and that people are observing, whether they say it or not.
Right.
They are noticing. So I was really proud of myself, receiving that award. And same with another big prestigious award was Women in Tyler. Again, after 4 years of being here in Tyler, I received that award, that honor, which is Women with a Voice.
Right. And
every year they honor and different women within the community that are making a difference. So that was a very prestigious award.
Where do you see yourself in the next 2 years?
In the next 2 years, I probably will still be here building my resume. I have actually filled out an application and been accepted to getting my PhD. I haven't moved forward with signed up for my classes yet, but within 2-3 years, hope to be Dr. Hamilton.
I know you do. What doors will open when you get your PhD?
More upper level positions, I'm sure. More upper level. I have the experience already. I am a community activist. One award that I didn't make mention that I just received was Remarkable East Texas Remarkable Woman. So I made the top 4 of that, and that's because of my work in the community. So in my work, with my experience, just getting that one notch of a different level of education. I feel like different doors will swing open.
So you're always just pushing forward.
Yes.
Okay. What do you see? If you had the power, how would you change the community? Were you looking for the community as a whole or just in Tyler?
Well, now I'm in Tyler, so I'm within the Tyler community. One thing that I would like to see is more diverse group of people working together.
Right.
For that common goal, and that's for the betterment of the community. To have that caring and compassionate heart,
Right.
and not have that ulterior motive or that agenda of pretending like you're caring about the community. If we can all come together and be genuine and actually care and actually show compassion, I feel like we will have such a better place, better atmosphere, better attitudes,
Right.
working together.
Do you believe it's from lack of leadership? Do you think it's just people just being selfish?
A combination.
Okay.
A combination of both. We have great leaders,
Mm-hmm.
in the community. We have not so great leaders. Again, we have those who are in it just for their own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a combination.
Okay, Miss Hamilton. Well, you aced this podcast. I'm sitting here thinking, you didn't drain all my questions.
I didn't want to drain all your questions. I'm here to answer.
I fully believe it. Let me see here. Is there any event you want to promote within the next couple weeks?
Well, I can talk about an event that I did, and I will be doing a part 2. I received a grant from Texas Women in Higher Education. Actually, I got the email, and I just filled it out and submitted it. I didn't think I was actually going to get it. And then I received an email maybe 2-3 weeks later saying, congratulations, you're the recipient of the Regional Initiative Grant.
Mm.
And they wanted to speak with me about the proposal. I couldn't even remember what my proposal was. I had to go back and look at the email. I'm like, what did I propose? And my proposal actually was to hold an event here at TJC for women in higher education, and my expectancy was no more than 15-30 participants. So I opened up an RSVP link, and I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up, there were 50 that registered, and then there was 75, and then there was 90, then there were 98, and my goal was 15-30, so I thoroughly surpassed
Right.
what my goals were. But it was a wonderful event. It was called World Changing Women Leadership Night Out. I had our provost from here at Tyler Junior College was a part of the panel. Dr. Duncan from Texas College, Dr. Elliott from UT, the executive of Leadership Tyler, a life coach were all participants of the panel. So the event was such a hit that it made the front page of the newspaper and the news.
So you were just suppressing all your goals, is what you're telling me.
Definitely. And I was going to be one and done, but everyone started saying that they couldn't wait till the next one. So that's in the making.
See, I didn't know I was going to be dealing with a professional in here. I came in here, you came in with that, I came in here with that smile. I don't know. You got me feel like I need to start achieving more and taking more leaps.
Take the leap. Never be afraid to leap, because you will never move if you don't move.
I felt that. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Hamilton, for the wonderful
Thank
podcast.
you very much for the opportunity.
No problem. All right. All right, that's all.
Great job.
Thank you, Miss Hamilton. Goodness gracious, you had me feeling like I'm finna just be over here and just pass out.
For what?
I was sweating. Because I was saying everything. I gotta ask this woman as many questions as possible. And you, I do have one question though. Whenever you were in the military and you finally got, so how was it like when you moved back? Like 6 months. When you were back home for 6 months. Did you stay at home? Did you stay in the apartment? Would you?
No, I went back home for 6 months, and I knew that that wasn't where I wanted to be, and I knew that is where I wasn't going to be for an extended period of time. I just needed enough time for that transition to happen, you know, for me to get that acceptance letter and to make that move. So when I got the acceptance letter, I drove to Beaumont, and never been to Beaumont before.
Just drove.
Drove to Beaumont, and it was before, you know, you're able to Google. Drove there and got a newspaper, looked at apartments, called up the people, and actually went, you know, for a tour of the apartment, and saw one that I wanted, which was literally around the corner from Lamar University. Went back to Crockett. A couple days later, brought my parents back so they can look at it, and then I actually moved there on my birthday. I remember hanging up pictures, singing "Happy Birthday" to myself. Yeah.
You're a wonderful woman.
Well,
So I
thank
want
you.
you to know that. It's gracious as hell to the point about to die.
Don't die on me.